Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. More Birthright coverage here as we work our way through the last of the few NPC realms for the Voss territories here. So today we're taking a look at Zoloskaya, which is another, all these Voss realms are just uniquely interesting. There's so much going on in each of them, and they're just all so different, but still have a common thread that does run through them. So it is considered neutral, and it's another one where there's basically two factions going or vying for power here. So two factions control all the provinces and holdings within the borders until the quote-unquote awakening of the Dragon of Vistaiv Peak. Remarkably, the two factions do seem to get along well, although there's always going to be a little bit of jostling for power. On the law side, we have Uvna Farzeb, level 15 wizard, another just a super high level character. Again, we think back to the Anawir sort of core of the setting here, and anything, there's definitely some powerful wizards, but a lot of them are in like the high single digits, maybe an occasional one in the double digits. And with the Brights and the Voss and everything so far, we see so many other like high level characters out there. But level 15 wizard, nothing to scoff at there, minor bloodline and actually lawful neutral, and has ruled much of the law in the realm since the days of Fire and Zoloskaya's transformation. She rules the realm but depends heavily on the Temple of Lirovka, the waning moon, for support. We also continue on. So on the law side too, a couple of the holdings are from Geresk Ufslev, part of the Waning Moon temple as well. So the Waning Moon, one of Cerilia's few temples to Lirovka, Rornil, wields overwhelming influence in Zoloskaya. Responsible for the end of the Days of Fire, the temple certainly saved the realm from becoming yet another war-torn Voss state. No organized trade for guilds takes place in the realm, though trade is not expressly forbidden. Zoloskaya's secretive nature discourages trade with outsiders. So, on the sources side, the Silver Servant controls most of the sources. However, the Dragon of Vistaiv Peak has claimed a few Western holdings, but emissaries from Zoloskaya have been sent to negotiate for their release. And then finally, the provinces, as mentioned, Uvna Farzeb rules all the provinces of Zoloskaya, but with a remarkably light hand. Regency generated and accumulated, there's actually a fair bit here, so plenty of ground here for the DM to use that when taking over the realm, essentially, for a campaign. Although the treasury is rather minuscule at only 9 gold bars. So, but that a large part of that is due to the lack of trade, with the complete lack of guild activity. Does have a fairly solid standing army and navy. Now it says only a token one here. Now it also does get the benefit of the regent's magical talents. Level 15 wizard, it definitely has access to basically everything realm spell wise. But I wouldn't call it token. There's still a fair few things here. We've seen other realms that are fewer. So we get 2 units of Uvna Sarveklos, Silver Knights, and 2 units of Garask infantry. So we got knights and elite infantry as the bulk of the force. That's not bad, so they can punch above their weight, certainly. And we also get a unit of scouts, and their navy is more on the token side, though. We get just a single Drakkar and a longship. However, unless completely surprised, no unit of the troops will enter battle without the backing of both the wizard and priest battle spells, and with enough warning, realm spells. So, yeah, forgot to emphasize that too. The ruler, right, level 15 wizard, so certainly plenty of battle and realm spells, but with the priest playing an important role here too, they have that. So again, this small force really will punch above its weight because they have full access to both sides of realm spells and battle magic. So very potent in that regard. Now the regent here calls himself Uvna Farzeb, the Silver Servant, and has basically been ruling for about 50 years. Seems impossible to those few who have met him personally. The man appears to be no more than 40 years old. That estimate is obviously wrong by a factor of 10. Uvna Farzeb, whatever his true name has been has been living in Vosgard for about 400 years. So it appears to be a throwback to earlier Voss attitudes and times. Introspective and somewhat secretive, the short, broad-shouldered wizard began preaching in Vosgard about Lirovka's mysteries just after Zarvik Basil repelled the Brecht League. So again, going far back. Uvna, like the Zarvik did, seems to believe Vosgard could be united, but not under the influence of Belanik or Krisha. So certainly an uphill battle to realize that goal. When Uvna came to Zoloskaya, it was one of the most fractious and self-destructive of the Voss realms. Raiders everywhere, so on the coasts, right, preying on other Voss and Kanasi as much as each other. And then basically slaughter and famine were the rule of the day. So, taking a hand in local matters, first there, Uvna and a few companions slew or drove away most of the pirate kings. A few they converted to their cause, and then they began to unite the peasantry against the remaining pirate strongholds until only one, Varskulazin, the Varsk's Fang, remained on the northern tip of the peninsula. The ruler of Varskulazin collected as many warriors, reavers, and mercenaries as he could muster and sent them out against Uvna's followers, slaying and burning those who got in the way. Uvna's spells deflected some of this damage, but most of his companions died in the struggle and much of the realm burned. The days of fire threatened to consume Zoloskaya entirely. But Uvna and a priest of Ruronil, one Aduras Vesk, remained. Escaping the reavers, they fought their way to Varskulazin and confronted the pirate king in his keep. Vesk died in the struggle, but made it possible for Uvna to unleash incredible magical forces against the pirate king and his allies. The land was sundered, producing the two barren islands, the Varsk's Fangs, just off the coast of Zoloskaya, but the days of fire did indeed come to an end. Uvna then tried to influence the people of the realm toward his beliefs and the teachings of Aduras Vesk. He encouraged the worship of the Rovka over Belanik and Krisha and discouraged contact with the other Voss realms. Since most of the warriors and priests of Zoloskaya died during the days of fire, really kind of eliminated most of the opposition. So, a fun backstory to that, and kind of going back into some of the deeper Voss lore of earlier times. Oops, sorry about that. The lieutenants, he does have several, known as the Svenka Uvna, Mages of the Moon. So at all times, 2 or 3 of them wander the land, checking Uvna's sources, while a few more guard the Silver Star Keep in Polovtsia. So a fun name, too, for lieutenants. So it's actually almost like an organization. And really, you could say, like, you know, it's one of the few realms here where it is mage-controlled from the very top, and sort of with the whole realm almost having like a focus on magic, whether it's wizardly or priestly in this case, too. So you got, again, those fun ideas and themes here playing against the typical barbaric, feudal, if we can even, or maybe even pre-feudal culture of the Voss here, and sort of, on the other hand, then having sort of this more high intellect, civilized, magical component as sort of a new driving force and a new way for maybe a Voss realm to be. So fun conflicts doesn't always mean it has to be military conflict. There's always that fun stuff going on with the Voss here as far as conflicts of identity and culture and things like that. So moving on, other important NPCs, the Regent of the Waning Moon Temple, Carol Ronskull, and is level 8 priest, as we see there. 19 on the bloodline, neutral gold, or not neutral gold, neutral good, but rules the Garask Ufslev and her holdings as a mother guides her children firmly with but with also great compassion. She is the daughter of the priest Aduras Vesk and his elven wife. So again, half elf priestess there. Most people say she takes after her elven mother in all but her devotion to Lirovka. Raised by Uvna when her mother returned to her elven home, no one knows which elf kingdom the woman came from, but that could be an interesting bit of lore to explore and maybe have come up in a campaign. Carell treats the still hale wizard as if he were an absent-minded gaffer. She tries not to bother him with the troubles that arise around her temples and law holdings, and she protects him from interfering outsiders. Adventurers who want to see Uvna for some reason will probably have to go through Carol first. So, despite the great losses among the raiders of Zoloskaya, they did not die airless. Fleeing Varsgulazin's destruction with his grandmother and father, Anatoly Skull, level 10 fighter, lawful evil here, small bloodline, only vaguely remembers the carnage caused by Uvna and his forces. So, Skull's father never had the opportunity to avenge his own father's death, but Anatoly, an accomplished warrior well into middle age, has returned to Zoloskaya intent on the Silver Servant's destruction. Most often, Skull lurks in the woods of Chernoval, or Cherovnal, rather, and Dnepl, where Uvna's influence in the realm is weakest. He has a few followers, Voss men and women who secretly long for the return of the old ways. So there you have sort of an immediate objective as far as maybe taking out this actual threat. So if you were adventuring in the realm and coming under the service of Uvna, that would be a quest and a task there, and sort of looking at the triggers for this could be things like this character here is causing all kinds of problems here. Maybe there's increasing attacks, other types of destruction that Anatoly here would be causing, and you're sent to investigate and maybe deal with that. Now, obviously, if you're starting out like level 1 or 2, low level adventures, not going to be necessarily wise to have a direct confrontation yet, but certainly something that the party could build up to in dealing with these boss who want to return to the old ways. So then a description here for the realm. So carefully tended and seemingly at peace with nature, Zoloskaya's appearance belies its Voss heritage. At least that's what the few outsiders who visit the land believe. While some wilderness does still exist, especially in the foothills of the eastern Vistave Mountains, the realm seems too peaceful for a Voss land. But the influence of Uvna Farzeb and the Church of Livrovka have done wonders, and it really shows what a Voss realm could turn into if indeed. If indeed that was given a chance to change its ways, essentially. So, the capital itself, Polovtsia, Rising Sun, is a quiet, simple city. It has no organized trade guilds and little outside shipping. The seaport hardly seems noteworthy. Fishermen and a few inland traders come here to distribute their wares, and the courts of Uvna Farzeb and the Temple of Lirovka both have headquarters here, but the city remains remarkably quiet. So again, lack of trading and commerce obviously is just going to be a little bit more of a low-key city. Other sites: since the return of Vor Lekiniski and Anatoly Skull, the western provinces of Zoloskaya have reverted ever so slightly to the wildness of old. In Dnepl, in fact, in a valley of the Vistave Mountains, an armed camp has been set up by the vengeful Skull. So you have that going on as well. So now allies, and again that would be another sort of maybe initial quest to potentially go investigate rumors of a camp, and maybe some clues that lead the party back there, and then kind of escalating and reporting that back to the leader here, Uvna, and getting tasked with more direct involvement or confrontation, just uncovering what the real threat is here. So again, good adventuring hooks there. Allies, because they're essentially isolationists, they really don't have any allies. Now enemies, though, a few people believe the Raven, angered by the peace of Zoloskaya and perhaps a little concerned by Uvna's considerable power and fame, again, level 15 wizard, helped Anatoly Skull return to his homeland. If that is so, the Anshe may use the would-be Boyar as a distraction in his next invasion of Yaninsky. So, yeah, we still have Anshe in and around the Voss territories, so there's always going to be some potential enemies from outside as well. And wouldn't that be a fun sort of hook too, to maybe the party does finally get closer to really confronting Anatoly and putting a stop to his machinations, but really come to find out that there is indeed something behind his reappearance, and that could be dealing with the Raven, which is no slouch. That could be kind of like a major conflict to be kind of a high point of a campaign. Now, DM Secrets, I love that they always put these in here, because there was no Player Secrets series for the Voss Realms, and they never really did a DM Secrets thing in general, but they did it for this last expansion here. So Zoloskaya holds many secrets, just a few of which can be listed here. When Vor Lekiniski, the dragon of Vistay Peak, awoke from his long slumber, he stretched out his magical powers and seized two sources of holdings in Zoloskaya. While Uvna Farzab has nothing against that necessarily, against the dragon, he has sent emissaries to the beast in the hope of negotiating at least a non-aggression pact with the creature. Several volunteers among his own apprentices and the Waning Moon's acolytes made the trip some months ago. However, they never arrived. Anatoly's skull ambushed them as they crossed over the mountains and tortured them into revealing their mission. He then sent his operatives with a challenge for the dragon, but you've used Uvna's seal to legitimize it. The message commands Vor to remove his sources and fly to the very southern tip of the mountain chain, or face Uvna's wrath. Obviously, Skull hopes in provoking the dragon, and provoking him also into attacking Zoloskaya. It is possible, however, that someone might learn of Skull's deceit and either intercept these fraudulent emissaries or explain the situation to Vor Lekiniski, which would be an interesting sort of way to even kick off the campaign, is just to kind of dump the players into like right in the middle of that. Maybe they are just resting or traveling out in the wilderness, but then they happen to come upon the ambush itself. Maybe they don't necessarily interfere directly, but they do see what's going on, and then maybe try to intercept these fraudulent emissaries, and then learn what's going on, and either still go to the dragon and maybe deliver, I guess, whatever message they feel would be the right one, or go back and inform Uvna of what's going on as well. So interesting way to do that. Now, pretty clever and tricky here, though, on the part of Anatoly intercepting this group here, because certainly provoking that dragon will have major consequences here. So you can almost think of like almost what happens in The Hobbit when Smaug is reawakened here. So that's probably something along the lines that he's hoping for, is for that dragon to wreak destruction. But there's no controlling that once you pull the trigger, so to speak, and awaken the beast. So it could have certainly its own plans in mind after that, and isn't likely to discriminate amongst the humans living there. So fun hook there. Moving on, though, all popular legends concerning Uvna's age and nature are wrong. Uvna, under a different name, bore Lerovka's standard at the Battle of Mount Deismar, and stood by him when Vorin died fighting Azrai. Charged with looking after the errant Voss, Uvna now directly serves the Silver Prince, and has only recently managed to attempt a reconciliation between Vorin's old champion and the Voss people. If this reconciliation has any chances of success, the priests of Balanik and Krisha will be informed directly. Perhaps unbeknownst of the power they will face, war priests and winter witches may spur an invasion of Zoloskaya by their faithful, fearful followers. Even the power of a god's herald may not be able to withstand a reuniting of the war tribes of the Voss. So you have that conflict to also potentially play up throughout a campaign as well. And it could be one, too, where you're finally done dealing with Anatoly. The dragon situation is okay. Maybe just turning an eye towards dealing with the Raven, potentially, if there is a connection there. And then, boom, you actually have like just an actual invasion threatened by other Voss, and see what's going on. And maybe that's where the players will learn a little bit more about Ufna's sort of true background and heritage, and why this impending invasion and conflict is going to happen. So crazy stuff there. Uvna does not come from Lerovka directly, but does come from somewhere other than Cyrilia. Could he be a descendant of the ancient Adurian Voss, and might tribes of that mystical people still survive in the lower continent? Or is there a far-removed tribe of Lerovka worshipping secretive Voss living somewhere in or near Vosgard, hoping to overcome their people's warlike superstitious ways before Azrai or another evil god attempts to destroy Cyrilia again? So that gets kind of a little bit further out there in what the ultimate endgame and consequences would be for the realm, and this could be something more on a grand scale, sort of like once we get to kind of like more epic levels of the adventure, and sort of things that will affect not just this realm and sort of the day-to-day, but the grand scheme of things, like the entire Voss peoples, potentially all the way up to Cyrilia itself, and what happens with the current pantheon, and so on and so forth. But it could also lead to uncovering if there is this other group of Voss people still out there, and maybe sort of sailing off the edge of the map, so to speak. We never did get really much as far as explanations on what the other continents and areas of the world look like. I know there was a little bit of sort of post release work done by fans and stuff like that. Don't know if it necessarily would be considered official, but there are some things that kind of expand the world map a little bit, but that could also just be purely fertile ground for the DM to come up with all kinds of neat ways to take that. Moving on, last few bits here. The mother of the half-elf Carell Runskull didn't come from the elven woad, Cumbain or Inishir, but Tuar Anwen itself. As secretive and dangerous as any elf can be, she involved herself in the end of the days of fire for love of Carell's father, and came to regret her actions deeply upon his death. She returned to Tuar Anwen's secret forest soon after her husband perished, leaving her child to be raised by Uvna Farzeb, not caring that he raised her to become the high priest of a human deity. Carell's mother still lives in Tuar Anwen and could be heard from again. Secret emissaries of Carell's mother or Carell's mother herself may come looking for her daughter, perhaps to bring her to the safety of the Elven realm for her protection. The High Priest of Larovka may wish to send her own emissaries to Tuar Anwen to explain why she cannot abandon her faith even for her mother. If Carell decides to go herself, she will need escorts to ensure that she can leave the forest safely, which would be, hey, that's where the party enters. And again, you can take it from there as far as ways that could play out as well. And, would be something to somehow maybe recruit the elves potentially partially to help solve some of these other crises that are out there that we've just kind of covered. So Zoloskaya definitely presents some interesting things for a Voss campaign, and just a really nice Birthright campaign in general. You got the internal conflicts, you got sort of the history and culture of the people again coming into play here. You have what is super rare for the setting, potentially dealing with a dragon, right? Those are, you think you can count those basically on a hand as far as this setting goes. There are so few, but then also just dealing with potential ways that, things that are not on the sort of official map as far as the actual published releases go. So just fertile ground for more epic play and really a chance to shape sort of the future of not just one Voss realm, but potentially the entire people. But then also just exploring other unknown areas and really making it a fertile ground again for just like high level epic adventuring. So definitely a fun realm to try out. Let us know, guys, if you have played in and around Zoloskaya and your thoughts on some of the ideas that we've presented here for this realm. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one for more Birthright.